My sister used to live in Mount Vernon.
Oh, that's where this is, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, Rosengard or Rosengard, R-O-O-Z.
Okay.
And, you know, from Holland or wherever, and the family came years, long time ago. Anyway, so they have all these fields, just fields of, huge fields of each color.
Beautiful.
And then they have all these displays, garden-like things, and beautiful. I mean, in thousands and thousands. So, it was fun.
California too had,
Yeah,
geez, just everything.
gorgeous blooming everything.
It's
Yeah.
just like, oh my God.
It's so verdant.
You do know why people live there, except when you get out on the highway.
Exactly. You stay in the garden, you're fine.
Yeah, I stay in the little town where they were, it's fine,
Right.
but then. But there's still like amazingly a lot of preserve, I mean, they have parks that are just unbelievable, just huge parks in the hills and, did you hear somebody come in or is that just me? I think it might be Gail, but we're gonna go ahead and start. So let yourself sit comfortably. Let me make sure this isn't so crooked that it looks just weird as can be. And I'm gonna sit in a chair to start today because it's one of those days for me, but you're welcome to sit on the floor, and if you want to sit on blankets, do. If you want to stretch your legs out, or if you'd rather sit cross-legged, do. But just be mindful if you're in your chair to think of getting your feet parallel, hips distance apart, and close your eyes. And whether you use the chair to kind of give you a little support behind you or you sit forward, still, whether you're on the floor or sitting in a chair, lengthen up through the top of your head. And let yourself enjoy feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. So accepting your breath easily. So you feel the belly gently rise and expand as you breathe in. And if you're comfortable to come in towards those 3-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, then into your ribs, and up into your chest a little. And let your next exhale bring your chin down towards your chest, releasing your head forward here now. And keep the belly a little bit firm, so feel that low belly gently drawing in. And then bring your head on back up, chin more parallel to the floor. And let's tilt our head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. Remember, I don't mirror because the camera does that. So if you get mixed up on sides, it doesn't matter. From here, if you can bring your right hand over and across over the top of that left shoulder, just to hook your hand over a little bit to give a little weight there. Maybe you can find a little extra release for that left side of the neck. And then we'll slowly bring the head back up, release the hand on down, and we're going to go to the other side. So left ear towards your left shoulder. Again, if you can bring your hand up and over, it kind of depends on you exactly where you kind of loop your fingers over the top, but just that gentle pressure, just that weight of your hand, the kind of weight of your arm hanging there might help you find a little more release. Good. We'll come back up with our heads and let our arms release on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's make a big circle with our arms. Bringing your arms forward, inhaling them up over the top, Exhaling as they come back only as far, of course, as you can go. And then we'll start releasing behind us first. Inhaling as the arms come up and over the top and down on through the front. Good. And then shake your arms out just a little bit here. We're going to come into, if we're in our chair, crossing our left ankle above our right knee. If you're on the floor, you keep that leg stretched long. And you can also lower the ankle down if you need to. So letting yourself, be easy there to open the hip, whether you want to come forward or not. Letting your right hand come onto that left foot, that's up to you. Totally up to you. So if that feels okay, you can come a little bit forward. Letting yourself release through that hip there. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to twist here, taking a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we'll twist to the left. So you can bring yourself around. You know that you can let your right hand come either to your left knee or maybe to your shin if you're more comfortable not bringing that arm across more. And just lengthen up. Feel that engagement of your low belly. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll move back around through center and keep on going into the other direction in that twist. So keep flexing that left foot. Let yourself feel that sense of belly again, gently engaging. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around into center again. And we're going to switch legs. So coming to that other side. And again, take your time. If you need to lower your ankle down below, do it. If you're on the floor and you need to be lower. Flex through that foot. And again, that idea of coming forward kind of depends on you, whether you actually want to move forward with that long back, or maybe it feels better to stay more upright. That in itself will release your hip. So just breathe into where you need it. Imagine breathing into your hip, or if your back needs a little bit of attention with your breath. Good, and then we'll come on back up to the top, inhaling here. And on the exhale, we'll twist to our right, bringing our left hand again, maybe to your right knee or maybe to your shin. Again, feel the belly engaging and let yourself feel your shoulders release down. Good. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you back around and through again to the other direction in that twist. Waking up the spine here. Good. One more inhale. Let your exhale bring you on back around. We're going to uncross. And if you're on the floor, stretch your legs long, but separate them a little bit. Same thing in your chair, just so that you kind of have just a little bit of a V shape there with your legs. And then circle your feet around. Let them circle around in one direction. And then stop and go the other direction. You can kind of turn your legs in and out a little bit too if that feels good. Just be mindful. And we're going to come around towards our hands and our knees. If you don't want to be on your knees, do not be. Whether it's using a blanket underneath your knees or using a chair for your hands, or too, if you don't want to be on your hands, come onto fists if you need. Go to your forearms if you need to do your cat-cows, if that feels better. So just take your time, get set up there. And then for a second, look down between your hands and let your tail wag a little bit. Let your hips just shift a little bit one way and the other. And just respond however you want to with your upper body, right? Just let it go naturally where it wants to. And then come on back into center so that you can now draw up into your cat pose on your exhale. And when you're ready, sending your tailbone back and up, moving through towards your cow or your neutral spine. So just take your time, easily flowing through your back. And finish off the one you're on. And we're going to come to a more neutral spine. And let's come on into lunge, bringing our left foot forward and our right foot back. And you know this first lunge, just be mindful of how you get placed there. Make sure that front knee is not coming out beyond your ankle. You don't want to put too much pressure in your knee, but let that back right heel reach directly behind you so you get into your calf and the back of the leg. And just enjoy feeling that length through the whole back body. Zip up your low belly a little bit. Good. We are going to switch legs. Now how you do that is up to you. And remember, the length of your lunge is up to you. It's always just the being mindful of that front knee so it's not bent too far forward. Let your shoulders draw down. Lengthen again through the back body. And just enjoy. Good. We are going to switch again. So this time, once you find the lunge, you feel fairly comfortable. If you want to lift a hand up, you can. Like your left hand or forearm can come to your thigh. Or you may decide you'd rather keep both hands down. Some people I know like to lift both hands up. If you want to do that, go for it. And we're going to switch again. So again, totally up to you as you feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. If it gets you to where it feels very good to rise a hand or forearm up or both up, then do. Good. And letting yourself now step back forward into standing forward bend. Get your feet hips distance apart and parallel, and let your head hang, let yourself release, and of course, use support that you need. So if you know that, you need to use your forearms on the chair, you need to have yourself a little more supported. Elbows above your knees is a good one. Just take your time, feel the weight of your head. You can always nod or shake your head a little bit. Feel equal between your feet. And just be aware for a second of the four corners of the feet into the floor, which means you don't want to roll to the outside edges of your feet or the inside edges of your feet. You want to let yourself feel like you're really equal there. Arches are lifting up. Following your breaths all the way in and out. Nice. Let's bring our hands onto our hips now. Bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose, and adjust how you need. If you like to walk a little bit in place, by all means, if that gives you feeling to where you feel very much more equal between your feet, find that sense of bringing your gaze on forward and out like you're looking out towards the horizon, and find length here in the back of your neck and throat. So rather than jutting your chin forward or tucking it back, right, you just have that sense of space in the back of your throat. Whether your eyes are opened or closed, just feel the space around you and enjoy feeling your body there in that space it occupies. Thighs gently engaging upward so there's space in your knees really. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And let's inhale our arms out and up overhead to a wide V. Let your pinkies turn towards each other a little bit. Feel your shoulders soften down. If you're able to look up a little bit, do, or maybe even all the way at the ceiling. It depends on your neck. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward into that standing forward bend. Good. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back, whether you put your hands on your chair or your legs somewhere or your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Press the feet gently away from each other now. Feel your whole body in your lunge. And we're going to come on into downward facing dog pose. So as you lengthen, whether your hands are on blocks or a chair or the floor, the idea is to find that length of the spine, but you want to be comfortable in your shoulders, so that might mean you want your hands to be higher or lower. Hug your elbows in towards each other a little bit, like you're holding a beach ball between your elbows. And enjoy. Knees can be bent. You can walk in your dog if that feels good, to bend one knee at a time, or to keep them both bent is fine. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. So take your time. You know, whether you come into a full plank or put your knees down and do a half plank or come into a forearm plank, it's fine. You can always bend your elbows, do little push-ups if you like to. Sometimes just bending your elbows a little bit and staying there. That's very strengthening for the shoulders, for the biceps. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And you know, if you're on the floor, you can always put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hip distance apart and parallel. And then again, just release and let your head feel pretty heavy. You know, if it hurts your back to let your head hang, then don't do it. Keep your head more in line with your spine. If it feels really good to let it hang, you can enjoy feeling that weight. And then following your breaths all the way in and all the way out. So really staying with that feeling of the breath, expanding the ribs as you inhale. And then feeling how the ribs kind of come back in as you exhale. Good. From here, we'll bend our knees a little more deeply, press into our feet and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bringing our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and let your head tilt to the right ear towards your right shoulder, and kind of roll down sideways a little bit. And then let yourself roll back up, letting your head be the last thing to come up. And then go to the other side. Left ear towards the left shoulder. Roll a little bit down sideways. And then again, use your belly to kind of start it. And then when you let your head be the last thing, it feels easy. Good. From here, let's inhale our right arm all the way out and up. And now let yourself come into side stretch. Put your left hand on the outside of your left leg, your palm in there, and let it stay attached to your leg. And then just breathe into that side you're stretching. Really feel that right foot pressing down into the floor. And then we'll rise to come up, lowering that arm on down. And now we'll inhale the left arm up. Your right hand attaches here, right? And you're going to slide that palm down a little bit as you come over into side stretch, but keep attached there with your hand. Let yourself breathe into that side you're stretching. Good. And then come on back up, and we'll lower the arms on down. Good. Bring your arms behind you. See if you can either hold your wrists or your forearms, maybe even your elbows. That is totally up to you. Now, be aware of what your pelvis does when you bring your arms back like this. So if you're finding that you're, hyperextending into your rib cage, then just draw the low belly in. Your tailbone still is going to drop down between your heels. That's what you want it to do, right? So there's still a curve in your low back. Let yourself have a couple of 3-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, and all the way up into your chest. release the arms on back down beside us, and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. And we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge here. Press the feet away from each other. Feel your shoulders come down away from your ears. Enjoy that lunge. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So coming back into that down dog. Elbows hugging inward. Walk if you want to. Let yourself be mindful. Ease your way through. And let's let our next inhale bring us back out to that plank. And again, this plank is up to you how you do it. A half, a forearm, push-ups if you want. Stay in your plank if you choose. Find that sense of reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. And we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time we will bring the left foot forward to come into lunge. And coming all the way back forward to standing forward bend again. Feet hip distance apart and parallel. And I know some of you really like to feel the full weight by putting your hands onto your elbows. I mean, if that doesn't bother your back, you can. You can always put your elbows above your knees if you'd rather to support yourself. Or let your arms hang if that feels good. One more breath. And then bring your hands to your hips. Feel your feet equally into the floor as you rise on up. We'll inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, come into a little chair pose with your hands coming down to your chest here. And it doesn't have to be a deep chair pose to feel you can always look at your knees, make sure they're lined up. But it doesn't have to be a deep chair. You don't have to go really low or anything to feel your thighs working and your hips. You can even stay up higher, right? You can go down lower if you choose. Think about your tailbone reaching back, kind of on a diagonal line, right? Which is what your back is in. Good. One more breath. And then press into your feet, rise on up, inhale the hands up through the midline, and on the exhale, open the arms and come on into your standing forward bend. And inhale into that nice length of your spine, that nice flat back. We are going to step into a down dog from here. So whether you like your hands down low, up high, walk a little bit if you can in your dog, bending a knee at a time, and even add your head turning too if you can. So you just turn your head side to side a little bit, release your neck, kind of let your jaw go. Come on back into center. And on your next inhale, come out towards that plank. Now you know back bends are optional, so you can come into a back bend or not. You can go to the ground, come through for a cobra or an up dog or a sphinx, being on your forearms. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. Enjoy a breath here. And we're going to do that same thing again. Inhaling our way out to that plank. Again, it is totally optional to add a back bend of choice. You can stay in your plank. You don't have to do a back bend at all. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. Good. Let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Feel that whole length now through the body. And we'll come on back again to standing forward bend. Right to your breath. Following your breaths all the way in, all the way out. Easy, full, deep breaths. And as we let our hands now come rising to our hips, we'll bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose. Shift around if you need to. Let yourself find that sense of being equal between your feet. Feel your hips, just they want to come over your ankles and your shoulders over your hips. If you sway around a little bit, doesn't matter. Enjoy the space around you. Really kind of imagine that the air around you is holding you up. It's holding you. 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 so that it becomes effortless to be in your mountain pose. Easy. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out. Move around whatever you need to move around. I'm going to turn my chair around myself. We're going to do the first Warrior One variation. That one where you have, like you're in a high lunge. So that, I love having my chair here. You definitely want your blocks here, right? How you get into this is up to you. You can put your hands on blocks or the chair. You can step your right foot back. You might even want to make your lunge, for your Warrior One, this lunge a little bit wider than normal. You know, it's tempting to put your heel down like the traditional Warrior One because it's actually easier to most people than this one where you have your heel coming behind the foot, right, and off the floor. So you can always bend this right knee, the back knee, too, so that it goes straight down towards the floor. And that gives you a little bit more stability. Or you can hold on for dear life to that chair and not let go, right? And if you decide, you can bring your hands to your heart, fine. Some of you might even want to rise the arms up overhead. You can do a wide open V. You can bring the hands up above your shoulders if you want. Feel the lift in the belly. Feel that wonderful openness through the front of the right hip. If you can bend your elbows and put your hands behind your head clasped, do it. And feel the head coming gently into your hands there. And so fine to keep holding on if you need to. We're going to release our arms on down here now. We're going to find a lunge by bringing our hands down to whatever surface we want. You know, you may want to use your chair. You may want to use your blocks. You might want to adjust your lunge here because we're going to add a twist. We're just going to bring our left hand to our left hip and roll that left shoulder up. Your left hand can stay right down there on your low back. You can, if it feels good to your shoulders, stretch that left arm up, straight up from your shoulder, if that feels good. Obviously don't. If it feels good, better just to focus in on your legs and your hips and your back here. You can keep your hand down. Good. We're going to bring that left hand down. Now, no pyramid here. Just straighten that left knee out and let the right heel just go directly behind your foot. It probably won't be on the floor. It might be, but it probably won't. And just let the backs of the legs open up that way. It's fine. Just breathe and enjoy. Try to make sure, though, you're not rolling on that front foot. It's very easy to roll to the pinky toe side of the foot on that foot. Try to really feel the big toe mound and the little toe mound into the ground. Good. We're going to bend the front knee so we can step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then we'll bend our knees and rise up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Just allow a breath here. Let it feel good. And shake it out a little bit. So all we're going to do is the other side. So again, how you get into this lunge, it is much easier, I have to admit, if you have a chair here, put your hands up, right? Stepping left foot back this time. So again, you know, if you need to widen your stance, like you're on railroad tracks that are kind of narrow, you can. Or you can bend this back left knee, which gives you a little more stability, right? If you feel like you want to straighten it, that's fine. If you need to hold on to the chair, hold on to the chair. See if you can let yourself bring your gaze forward. If you like the arms to come up, you can. Now, if that doesn't work for you, don't do it, right? If you need to adjust your stance, it all do. Just enjoy feeling that lift. Again, it's this lift right here at the front of the left leg. Good. Now, if you can bring your hands behind your head, do it. If you can clasp your hands and put them at the back of your head. Pushing the back of your head into your hands sometimes really fires up the belly and the low back. And the hip too. We're going to release our arms on down and we're going to find our lunge, remember. So hands can go to the back of the chair, the seat, or the blocks, depending on you. And you can adjust the length of your stance if you want. So we can add that twist, right hand up to the right hip. Rolling that shoulder up. And again, you can keep your hand right down on your low back. You can stretch the arm up if you want to. It's totally up to you. Just be where you can. Enjoy finding that twist in the middle of the back. Try not to drop into that left long leg side. Beautiful. We're going to bring the hand back down, and we're going to straighten that front knee out, remember. So as you do, just let yourself feel the backs of the legs, getting a nice stretch, and try not to roll on that front foot. And that left heel is just reaching directly behind your foot. Good. One more breath. And as we bend the front knee, we're going to step forward and get our feet again right underneath us. You can use whatever support you want, you know that. Take a couple of breaths. Maybe even move your head around if it helps to nod or shake your head a little bit here. Good. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. Press into our feet equally as we rise up. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And just come home to your mountain pose. Let it feel so easy. Just enjoy the energy flowing through the body, and already, you know, things feel better. It doesn't take very long. And then we'll go ahead and release. Arms on down. Shake out just a little bit. And we're going to come into Warrior 2 this time. I'm leaving my chair that way. But make sure you have your blocks handy, too. And we'll step our right foot back. We'll come into Warrior 2 now with the right foot about parallel to the back edge of your mat. The left foot about parallel to the long edge of your mat. And that knee bend, again, that important part. Sending the knee out over the center of your foot. And starting to float your arms on up. A little higher than your shoulders for a second. Like higher than you have them in your Warrior 2 usually. And then let your shoulders melt down. And then go ahead and lower your hands enough to look right out over the top of that left hand. Feel like you're reaching equally out, though, through both sets of fingertips. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Good. Let's turn the left palm up. Put the right hand down on your right leg. Slide that right hand down a little bit more as you reach up into your reverse warrior. Nice full breath into the left ribs. And on your next exhale, come into your side angle. So whether you put your hand on your left thigh, your forearm, doesn't matter how low you go, rising that right arm up, if your shoulder lets you, into line with the right side of the body. And if that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. You can always put your hand on your hip. You can put the arm straight up if it bothers you to let it come more into line, right? One more breath. We're going to come on back to Warrior 2. Pressing those feet away from each other. And then let your hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel now for a wide-legged forward bend, which means, as you know, maybe you want to grab your blocks. Let yourself come on forward, whether you put your hands on blocks or the floor. It doesn't matter what height you are. And then go ahead and kind of adjust, bend a knee at a time, so you adjust into the width of stance that feels okay for you. And obviously, if this bending one knee at a time hurts your knees, don't do it. Good. And then come on back into center and set yourself up to be with your breath here, however feels good. You know, maybe you want to stack blocks up and get out of your hands, maybe be on your forearms or put your head on your blocks. Or some of you may not want to use blocks at all. You may want to have your hands come back more towards between your feet or hold on your ankles or, you know, so just be really mindful how your back and your hips feel. And then just enjoy being with your breath here. Full, deep inhales and exhales, so that if you can let them become evener in length, your inhales and exhales, you can just let yourself maybe count when you breathe in and think of reaching that same count when you breathe out. rising up. So how you do that is up to you. You know, if you need to adjust your stance before you come up, that's fine. And if you're dizzy, hold on to something if you have to. Walk around a little bit. Good. We're going to go to the other side. So, again, adjust whatever you need. Bring your left foot back for your warrior two and get the heels lined up and bend into that front knee. And, you know, the length of your stance is not important. It's that bend of that front knee, making sure you're not going any farther forward than your toes, right, which will put a lot of pressure on your knee. And then float your arms up. Again, higher than usual. And, you know, kind of tendency is to shoulders lift up too. Let them melt down. And then lower your hands down and let it feel really easy, like your arms are growing out of your back. Feeling the feet gently pressing away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. So there are your hips, there's your core, your belly, your low back, your hips. But try to stay soft in the tops of the shoulders. Nice. We'll turn the right palm up. Left hand comes to your left leg. Slide that left hand down. And let yourself just breathe into the right side here in your reverse warrior. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle where either your right hand or forearm can be on your chair or it can be on your thigh. You can be up higher or lower. And then you can rise that left arm up if you choose to, right? It can be straight up from your shoulder or more in line with the left side of the body with the palm down. Just enjoy. Let yourself enjoy finding length through both sides of the body. It's not about how low you go. Good. One more breath. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. Come on up. And then again, we're going to make our way for that wide-legged forward bend. So this time, come on forward. You might want to block. We're going to add a twist first. So we're going to lengthen our body out so that you have your hands kind of forward a little bit, either on blocks or the floor. And your back is really long, like a tabletop, right? So get your left hand kind of right under your left shoulder and bring your right hand to your right hip and then to your low back. And then just roll that right shoulder up as you turn to look to the right. Now, engage your legs a little bit. Press your feet gently away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. And imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. And then bring your right hand back down and get it kind of right under your shoulder, either on the floor or your block, and bring your left hand up. And again, as you roll your left shoulder up, press your feet away from each other. Feel that twist in the middle of the back. You're level there at the sacrum. Enjoy that twist there in the middle. Good, and then bring your hand back down. And let's walk our hands to the right. Now you might just want to walk your blocks a little to the right. You might want to walk your hands over towards your right outside of your ankle. Totally up to you how far you go. Stay there and breathe. And then come on back through center, and we're going to go the other side. So again, totally up to you, whether you use your blocks and walk over a little bit, go over towards your foot if you want. Good. And then bring your hands on back. And again, set yourself up so that you can easily focus on your breath and you don't feel like you're tensing up in your upper body, right? You do have to hold yourself up. You're standing, so you're definitely using your legs and your hips. But see if you can release as much as possible your upper body. Really let your face go and think softness all through your face, and let your eyes relax. Kind of imagine your eyes are melting back into the sockets a little bit. And release your jaw. You're all around your mouth. Good. One more deep breath. And to rise up, you know, want to be really careful. You've been there a while, especially if you're dizzy. When you come up, you feel lightheaded at all. You might want to keep your feet wide. And then take your time. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And we are going to bring our mats into a wall, short edge, which is, there's plenty of room. You can be there. You can be there. You both can be back there. Sherry, you can both be back there. And you can be between them, or you can be way over there if you want to, if you feel better about that. So, get your blocks, and take your time. We're going to practice a little Warrior 3. If you know that putting your foot back onto a wall is too much for your hips, or just too much in general, you can always just practice with your hands on the blocks, with your right foot coming up, and you don't even use the wall. I particularly love the wall myself because I think it helps develop strength in a way that you don't get when you're working on the balance aspect of a Warrior 3. But if it feels uncomfortable in your hips at all, just practice a little bit of the leg being up and low, and let yourself just stand on one leg a little bit, right? So you want your supporting leg, your left leg, right under your hip. You don't want it too far back. You don't want it too far forward. And then press that foot, if you have it into the wall, press it into the wall. And imagine you're drawing it up towards the ceiling. You might want to come to your fist, because that brings your torso up just a little bit too. And you can even think of putting your left hand up on your left thigh if you want to give yourself a little support and give a little more. Or not. You can keep your hand down. Some of you might even want to stretch that left arm forward. If you have any inkling to bring both hands off your blocks up to your heart, you can. And we're going to put the hand back down if it was up. We're going to lower that right foot down right away. Put your left foot up. Because right there, that's a huge relief. So again, you got to adjust how far you are from the wall. It's okay if your knee's a little bent. Everybody's got their toes facing down, which is good, so your hips are level. Again, if you want to come to fist, you can, or even fingertips. If you want to be up higher, you can come to fingertips. But as you press into the wall, feel what happens. If you push that foot into the wall, your belly just goes insane, right? I mean, you don't even have to think about doing anything. It just does it. And then you can decide if bringing the right hand up to your thigh feels good, or letting the right hand come forward if you want to. Don't do any of that. If you feel, just really fine keeping both your hands down, do. Good. One more breath. And then bring that foot down. Now separate your feet a little wider. If you want to do a full squat, you can. Or you can just bring your elbows above your knees and let yourself rest like that with your elbows supporting you above your knees. So it's totally up to you. Be comfortable in your hips and your knees. Good. Now, we're going to rise back up, and we're going to turn to face the wall. And step back into a plank pose with your hands at the wall. Now, we're going to do some little push-ups. You can do fists. So, you know, if your wrists don't like this extreme, pressure, don't do it. Do fists. Because you can do push-ups with fists real easily. Elbows coming in. Or you can do your push-ups with your hands flat. But see if you can, as you start to just bend your elbows, hug them in like you're holding that beach ball between them. You want to keep that action. Even if you don't go all the way to the wall, it doesn't really matter, right? You can go part way to the wall and come back to long arms. But see if you can take just as long to come in as you go out from the wall. Which, usually, you kind of want to hurry through that coming back from the wall, right? So, try not to be in too big of a hurry. Let it feel good. Or maybe you're past the point of that feeling any good at all. So we'll finish off the one we're on. Step in towards the wall, and now rise your left arm up overhead, and we're going to thread the needle with our right arm coming through. And you're going to end up, now don't twist your knees. Let your feet kind of turn a little bit, but you're just putting the right side of your head on the wall, and your arm is just thread through, and you've got your right palm facing out, so that it's a relief between your shoulder blades. So just breathe there for a second. Let it feel really good. Now, we're going to keep our left hand up there, but we're going to keep turning. So our right arm is going to go down. We're going to come into side stretch. You're just now stretching through the left side, letting your right arm hang all the way down beside you. And your head's still on the wall, and you can just breathe into that left side of the body a little bit. Hopefully it feels good. Expanding the ribs with the breath. Nice. Okay, we're going to slowly turn back to the wall. Bring your right arm back up and step back from the wall so your head's off the wall and you're looking down. And it's kind of like the feeling of London Bridge, except you're on your fingertips, right? And you're just letting yourself just feel the fingertips press gently into the wall. You can hug your elbows in a little bit. Good. One more breath there. Good. Now step back closer to the wall. Right arm's going to stay up overhead. You're going to thread the needle with the left arm coming through. Turn the left palm out away from the wall. Again, if your feet need to turn, don't do any kind of torquing in your knees, okay? Because think about releasing between your shoulder blades on your back here. Imagine you're bringing your breath right to between in the upper back, between the shoulder blades. So you just let the work happen. Just the breath does the work. You don't have to do anything. Just breathe. Now we're going to keep turning to that same side. Let your left arm come down, all the way down, and you're on a full side stretch on your right side now. So right fingertips are on the wall still. Head is resting in the wall. It feels good. You're opening up through the right ribs, but you're supporting your head. In the wall, great. One more breath. And now lower your right arm. We're going to turn our back to the wall, and we're going to walk our feet out, maybe 12 to 18 inches away from the wall. Bend your knees a little bit, and bring your arms out beside you. Turn your palms away from the wall. Just release here for a couple of breaths. And just for a little added extra release, start to give yourself a hug. I don't care which arm you put on top. We're about to do the other one, so give a hug. Let your elbows melt down. You can do your full eagle wrap if you want. You can do a half eagle wrap if you want. Totally up to you. And if you want to lean a little away from the wall because that feels really good, you can keep a long back and just almost like you peel your whole back away from the wall at once. And then you come into more like a chair pose, right? Come on back up. If you were forward, unwind your arms, stretch them out for a second, but just remember which one you had on top. And then we're going to do this other arm on top. So coming into that hug, letting yourself be right here. Remember, this eagle or half eagle wrap is totally optional. You can stay hugging, and you may want to stay hugging and come away from the wall as one piece. It actually changes the whole angle of your pelvis. Now your tailbone is reaching back towards the wall, So you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. You're actually coming forward with a very long back. Good. We're going to go back to the wall again. We're going to open our arms out beside us. Come into a T position. Turn your palms outward. Good. And then lower your arms on down. Walk your feet back in. Yay! Because we're going to go down to the floor. We're going to come onto our bellies on the floor. So let yourself release on down. Take your time and just, relax. Make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead on your hand. You might even want to kind of rock your hips a little side to side if you want to, just letting them release. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Circle your feet around. Do that little foot dance of any kind you want to do back there. You might even want to let the legs do the windshield wiper blades. You may not. It depends on your back, how it feels. Good. And then come on back to long legs again. And we're going to come on to our forearms. One to our Sphinx pose with our elbows pretty close to under our shoulders if we can. If you need to go lower with your body, your elbows can come down more towards your waist, right? That is a back bend too, right? Or the arms can be up this way. But you want to be mindful so that it feels, you're still engaging your belly a little bit, but you don't want to feel any pressure in your back and, uncomfortable feeling in your low back. Now see about staying there and just bending your right knee, flexing your right foot. And then let that leg come long again and do your left side. Just flex the foot, feel your quad. Good, and then come on back down. And let's lower ourselves with our left forearm parallel to the front edge of our mat, and we're going to put our head on that left forearm. And we're going to bend the right knee again into a little half bow pose. So see if you can lift your head up off your arm. Maybe that's enough right there. That is a little bit of a back bend. You still want to use your belly. Again, you don't want to feel discomfort in your back. If you have to put your head back down, do. If you want to go higher and reach back and get your foot, holding on to the top of your foot or your ankle, you can. Feeling the foot gently pressing into your hand. We're going to lower back down. Now, come onto your right forearm so your head can go onto that right forearm. And bend your left knee and flex the foot. And again, if you rise your head up and there feels like too much going on, don't do it, right? Go back down if you want. If you want to reach back with your hand, think about getting your foot, you can. You can push the foot into your hand if you want to come up higher, you can. That is up to you. Good. We're going to come back all the way down with everything. Bring your arms down alongside your body. And on your next inhale, come into a little locust, reaching, arms and legs floating up, reaching back towards the foot of your mat with your tips of your fingers and with your toes, coming into that locust pose. Come back down for a breath. You can let your forehead rest on the ground, or you can turn your head to one side if that feels better to you. Let yourself breathe into your low back. And now you can come back again to that locust. Some of you might want to bend both your knees, reach back and get your feet, and let the feet come away from the buttocks and up a little bit for a bow pose. If not, come back into that locust where you have long arms and legs if you prefer. Be where you can. And then we're going to release back down, and we're going to make our way towards a child's pose. Now, you don't have to go all the way into child's pose. You can stay kind of up with your hips and onto your forearms so that your knees aren't so deeply bent. Or you can shift your hips back towards your heels, as long as that's not too much for your knees and for your hips. And you have to find that spot where you're able to just really release without feeling like you're overdoing anything. Breathing into your low back. See if you can feel those breaths literally expand your low back. When you breathe in, you feel that space widen. Good. One more breath. And we are going to bring our hands back by our knees because we are going to come on around and we're going to lower ourselves down onto our backs. But before you do, have a block, maybe even both for some of you, handy before you go down. And then how you come to your back is up to you. Like if you like to play a little bit rolling down through your spine, that is so not good for some people's backs. Some people it feels really good to let yourself roll down through your spine to come down to the floor. So, be mindful how it feels to you. Once you get down there, bring your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg long and keep flexing through both your feet as you press that right leg into your hands, whether you're holding your shin or you're holding behind your thigh. Good. And then we're going to switch to bring the left knee in and put the right foot down and extend that leg down long. Flex through both your feet, remember, so that activates you up into your hips. Press that left leg gently into your hands. Good. And then bring both knees on in towards your chest and let the knees circle. So whether you hold them, you can have your right hand on your right knee, your left on your left, or maybe you'd rather not have your hands on your knees. But let them circle in one direction. So it's kind of like you're outlining your sacrum, that big flatness there at the base of your spine. And stop in reverse directions when you're ready. And if you find kind of like a sore spot or something, just kind of pay attention to how you can maybe find a little relief. Good. And then come on back, knees to center. Bring the feet to the floor. And if you are able, now if you hate supported bridge and you know that there's no way you're putting yourself up on a block, the lowest height, then don't do it, all right? But if you can, lift yourself up onto the lowest height of the block and have it right underneath that flat part. So you're not hanging off your block with your hips at all. You are totally supported. In fact, you can kind of feel when you draw your tailbone down a little bit, you feel that little bit of a curve in your low back. See if you can just enjoy that. And then from there, just bring your right knee up and flex your right foot. Your knee's bent, right? And then from there, let the leg lengthen up long towards the ceiling. And it doesn't matter if your knee's bent or not. From here, all you're going to do is press into the left foot that's on the floor and lower that leg down as long as you can, not letting your pelvis change. Keep your belly and your low back working. Your heel might come almost to the floor or it might not. And when you get all the way to as far as you want to go, bend the knee. Put that right foot on the floor and bring your left knee up. And then start to extend the left leg long. Now here you are. Press into that right foot on the floor as you start to lower the left leg down. And again, just be mindful. Try to stay just as much as possible in your pelvis, being really stable. Belly works, low back works. And of course, when you're ready to bend the knee and put the foot back on the floor, do, right? Let's do that again. Bringing that right leg up and then exhaling as you lower down. And when you're ready to switch, if you're ahead of me, you go to the other side whenever you want. Good. When you finish that left side again, bring both knees up if you can and send your feet up, both of them up into the air. Yeah. Now you can play here. You can do those legs, one coming down and then back up. You may not want to go as far when both legs are up like this, but you can let yourself move through. And another fun way to move the legs when you're up like this is to open them and close them. Open them out wide and then bring them back up. So you can do a little bit of that too. Start to play. If you are ready to get off this block and you're like, this is entirely enough, put your feet down, come on off, and feel free to do a little bridge pose on your own. Feel free to stay on the block if you want to and do a little supported bridge with your feet on the floor, you know, or lift up and down off the block if you want. Take your time, you know, just be mindful. Let yourself allow your body kind of go where it needs to go. If you've entirely had enough, definitely remember when you come out of a bridge pose to bring your knees in towards your chest. Let yourself release. Whether you come into just knees coming in or a happy baby pose or bringing the soles of your feet towards each other into a little Baddha Konasana, letting your knees widen out. Just take your time. Maybe you want to do an old-fashioned bicycle, man. Pretty much everybody's down. So once you are, let yourself bring your knees on in and do just a couple of little twists where your knees both go to one side. Now for some of you, you may want them barely to move over to the side and come back to center. And some of you might want to actually lay your legs over on the floor on one side. You know, these double knee twists feel different than when you draw one knee in and do it, you know, so be mindful. You can keep it moving by just exhaling when you go to one side and inhaling when you come back into center. Or you may feel better to let yourself rest on the side in the twist. I'm going to start to walk around, but I want you to keep going if you need to do another pose or any other movement. It doesn't have to be a yoga pose. In other words, if your body needs to do some kind of stretch, haven't done yet, and you know you need to before Shavasana, I'll just start coming around so I can bring the bolsters for the people who want bolsters under their knees. Don't run. So take your time. When I see a wave or indication, I would be happy. It doesn't have to be a bolster member. Prefer that you would rather have a rolled up blanket, or maybe remember too, if you get a little bit of a blanket underneath the back of your head, by all means, that just helps you keep from shortening the back of your neck and help you find more release. You need a blanket for cover too, even if it's just your feet today. It is actually cold outside. Crazy weather, but it is nice and one temperature in here, so just ease your way now into accepting your breaths in and out through your nose. Appreciating there's nothing you need to do in order to breathe. When your mind wanders, it always does, just softly let your awareness come back to your breath. And those little quiet places, just sneak in there without you even realizing they're there. And those are the time, that's the time that your body and your brain can get whatever you need from all you just did. If you go to sleep briefly, you know, and you drift off, it's okay. But just give yourself the gift of these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax. fingers and toes, hands and feet naturally want to lead you into letting your arms, your legs, the rest of your body move however you need, stretch or bend. You know, to take your time. You're more than welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that, and have your knees be bent, and maybe even use your arm as a pillow if you're on your side. But if you can, when you feel like rising up to sitting, see if you can let your eyes stay closed, or at least close them again once you get up. And get comfortable in how you're seated, even if you have to change, you know, how your legs are. If you need to grab a blanket and sit on it, do. Let yourself just enjoy as you get your head up there again above your heart, feeling really energy coming back. Feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.